Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today we're plunging into a really fascinating Japanese idea. It's called Ikigai, and many people believe it holds a key to a long, happy, and purposeful life.
That's right. We've been digging into the book Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles. And yeah, we're ready to share what we found most valuable with you.
Okay, so our mission in this deep dive, really, is to get a handle on what Ikigai actually is, how it connects to Japanese thinking and, these surprising links to longevity, like in Okinawa.
hmm
We'll be looking at, well, everything from keeping your mind sharp, the power of purpose.
To diet, movement, resilience,
Yeah.
even that idea of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in imperfection.
Exactly, it covers a lot.
Consider this your, let's say, fast track to understanding a philosophy that isn't just theory. It seems to be lived out in places where people live incredibly long and, importantly, enjoy those later years.
So we're pulling out the core ideas from the book.
Yeah, the essentials.
Yeah.
And looking at why this concept seems so tied to thriving as you get older.
Okay, let's start with the word itself, ikigai. What's the basic idea?
Well, at its heart, people often translate it as the reason we get up in the morning.
Okay.
But it's maybe more than just that. Think of it like a convergence where your passions, your talents, what the world actually needs, and maybe what you can get paid for, all overlap. Though that last part, the payment, isn't strictly necessary for the feeling itself.
Oh, right.
It's more about that internal drive, what gives your days real meaning and purpose.
So it's definitely not just about having a job then. It sounds much bigger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your work can be part of your ikigai, for sure, but it doesn't have to define it. Ikigai is broader. It's about fulfillment, happiness, just that overall sense of meaning in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And the book really suggests this plays a significant role in why Okinawans live such incredibly long lives.
Okinawa, yeah, famous for having so many people living past 100. The book draws a strong line there.
It really does. When you look at the numbers, the proportion of centenarians per 100,000 people in Okinawa well, it's way higher than most places globally.
Wow.
And researchers studying this, they point to things like their diet, obviously being active outdoors, green tea, the nice climate. But Ikigai seems to be a really crucial piece of that longevity puzzle.
And the book mentions a specific place, Ogimi, the village of longevity. What's the story there?
Right, Ogimi. It's this small, rural town up on the northern coast of Okinawa, only about 3,000 people. But it boasts the highest life expectancy on the planet.
Seriously, the highest.
Yep. The book looks at possible reasons. They talk about shikawasa, the citrus fruit they eat that's packed with antioxidants, maybe the water quality. But the core message seems to be that the people in Okami just live with this really strong sense of purpose.
It's interesting how the book points out that many Japanese people, especially in Okinawa, don't really retire like we often think of it. They stay active. How does Ikigai play into that?
Well, the book suggests that having that clear sense of ikigai is a powerful driver. It keeps them engaged, active.
Right.
It gives them a reason to keep contributing, learning, connecting with people long after they might have stopped formal work. It's about having something that makes you want to get up and participate fully in life.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, moving on to what the book calls anti-aging secrets. Keeping our minds active is a big one. What were the key takeaways?
The book really hammers home that mental exercise is just as crucial as physical. It brings up the work of Shlomo Bresnitz, a neuroscientist. He argues our brains need stimulation to stay vital. Breaking routines, learning new things, it actually helps create new neural pathways.
So shaking things up is good for the brain.
Exactly. Even though the book notes older people often prefer routine, challenging yourself with new experiences is key for mental sharpness.
And then there's stress. That seems like a major villain in the aging story. What did the book say about its impact?
Oh yeah, chronic stress is flagged as a huge accelerator of aging. They mention studies, like one from Heidelberg University Hospital, showing how that constant stress triggers immune responses that can actually end up damaging healthy cells. And another study from the University of California linked high stress in mothers caring for chronically ill children to shorter telomeres.
Telomeres, those are the caps on our chromosomes related to aging, right?
That's them. Shorter telomeres are linked to faster cellular aging, so chronic stress seems to literally wear us down at a cellular level.
It feels like modern life, being always on, doesn't help much with stress levels.
Absolutely. The book makes that contrast. Our ancestors faced intense, short bursts of stress, like running from a predator.
Right, fight or flight.
Exactly. But many of us today live with this constant low-grade stress, emails, notifications, deadlines, feeling pressured, even if there's no physical danger. And that ongoing trickle of stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline just takes a toll on our health over time.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom about stress, was it? I remember a point about a little stress maybe being beneficial.
Yes, that's a really interesting counterpoint. They cite research by Dr. Howard S. Friedman.
Okay.
He found that people who actually faced some challenges, had a moderate level of stress, maybe were quite engaged in their work, tended to live longer than those with super laid-back lives.
Huh. So a bit of pressure can be motivating.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
A manageable amount of stress might push us to adopt healthier habits or give us that drive, that sense of purpose we've been talking about.
The book also talks quite a bit about the dangers of just sitting around too much, sedentary behavior.
Yeah, that's a big modern health issue linked to longevity. The book gives some really practical tips to fight it. Simple things like, take the stairs instead of the elevator, make an effort to be more social, choose healthier snacks instead of processed stuff, really prioritize sleep, aiming for that 7 to 9 hours range.
Sleep is crucial.
Definitely. Also, making time for play, whether it's with kids or pets, and just becoming more conscious of our daily routines so we can swap out bad habits for better ones.
And sleep itself is highlighted as a major anti-aging tool. Why is it so important?
Sleep is when our body produces melatonin, which is a really potent antioxidant.
Right.
Melatonin does a lot, boosts the immune system, offers some protection against cancer, helps regulate insulin, might slow down Alzheimer's progression, helps prevent osteoporosis, protects the heart. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Wow.
But the book mentions our natural melatonin production decreases after age 30. So getting enough quality sleep becomes even more vital as we get older, alongside those healthy lifestyle choices.
The book also touches on attitude, how a positive outlook and emotional awareness link to longevity.
Yeah, there was a study at Yeshiva University they mentioned. It found that people who live the longest often share traits like optimism and being really aware of their emotions.
Meaning they're good at managing them.
Exactly. Good at handling challenges with a generally positive frame of mind.
And related to that, having a stoic attitude is also mentioned as beneficial.
Yes, cultivating that sense of calm, that serenity when things inevitably go wrong. It helps lower stress and anxiety,
Right.
which, as we saw, is good for longevity. The book notes that cultures with a slower pace of life often have higher life expectancies. It's about observing your feelings without letting them hijack you.
There's even that song from the Ogimi centenarians in the book. What kind of advice was in their recipe for a long life?
It's lovely, really simple stuff. Eat moderately, wake up early, go for walks, treasure your friends, enjoy the changing seasons, stay active physically and mentally, especially keeping your hands busy. Those are the keys they sang about for reaching 100. Just reinforces that longevity often comes down to consistent, simple, positive habits.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The book connects finding purpose and longevity through ideas like logotherapy and IKIGAI. Let's start with logotherapy. What's the core idea?
Logotherapy comes from Viktor Frankl. It's basically a school of psychology built around the idea that our main drive as humans is to find meaning, find a reason to live. That's key to our mental health.
Right. Frankl famously asked his patients, "Why don't you commit suicide?" to get at that.
Exactly. It was his way of helping them uncover what gave their lives meaning, which in turn helped them face their issues. It's all about tapping into that fundamental desire for purpose.
So finding meaning helps you overcome difficulties.
That's the essence of it. Logotherapy suggests this drive to find and fulfill our purpose is what keeps us going, helps us break through limitations, tackle obstacles. They mentioned a study in Frankl's Vienna clinic, where most patients and staff felt having a reason to live was essential and felt they had something worth living for, even dying for.
The book draws a distinction between existential frustration and existential crisis. Can you unpack that?
Sure. Existential frustration is that feeling when life seems to lack purpose or your sense of purpose feels off. Frankl saw it as a pretty normal part of being human, not necessarily a disorder.
An existential crisis is maybe more common today. It's when people live based on what others expect, not their own values. This can lead to this feeling of emptiness. They mention Sunday neurosis, that hollow feeling when the workweek distractions disappear.
Right, that void. What are the main principles of logotherapy highlighted in the book?
Several key things. 1, we discover meaning. We don't just invent it. 2, everyone has a unique reason for being, and it can change over time. 3, Trying too hard to force something, Frankl called it hyperintention, can backfire. 4, humor is powerful. It helps us detach a bit. And 5, our choices matter hugely. They define us more than our circumstances.
The book uses some powerful examples from Frankl's work. Right?
Yeah, really compelling ones. Prisoners finding meaning even in suffering, a diplomat feeling stuck but finding purpose in his actions, a doctor finding a reason to live on after his wife died by cherishing her memory and helping others. It really brings the ideas to life.
Then, after logotherapy, the book introduces Morita therapy from Japan. How's that different? Morita therapy, from Shoma Morita, shifts the focus. Instead of actively searching for meaning, like in logotherapy, it emphasizes accepting your emotions, whatever they are, without trying to wrestle them into submission.
Accepting them.
Yeah. It's rooted in Zen Buddhism. The idea is that your feelings will naturally change as a result of your actions. It's different from a lot of Western therapy that tries to change feelings by changing thoughts, Morita says. Accept the feeling, do the action.
So accept you feel anxious, but go for the walk anyway.
Exactly. Accept the feeling, don't fight it, just let it be there. Then focus on doing what needs to be done in the present moment. The change in feeling often follows the action. The book outlines the stages: rest, light activity, occupational therapy, then back to social life, all built on this principle.
And there's an Icon meditation connected to Morita.
Yes, Icon is a self-reflection practice. It uses 3 core questions about your relationship with someone. What have I received from them? What have I given them? What problems have I caused them?
Interesting.
By doing this regularly, you shift from blame towards responsibility and gratitude. It helps you see your connections more clearly.
So how does Ikigai then wrap all this up in terms of purpose-centered living in Japan?
The book presents Ikigai as this kind of overarching approach. It includes finding your purpose, yes, but also accepting imperfection, which connects to wabi-sabi. We'll get there eating mindfully, moving gently, and building resilience. It's about finding joy and meaning, even when life isn't perfect.
Okay, let's talk about flow. That seems tightly linked to Ikigai. What exactly is flow?
Flow is a term from psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It's that state where you're completely immersed in an activity. You lose track of time, worries fade away.
Like being in the zone.
Exactly. You're fully present, and the activity itself is deeply enjoyable, intrinsically rewarding.
So it's about finding activities that get you into that state.
Yes. The book stresses prioritizing these flow activities over just chasing fleeting pleasures if you want that deeper sense of optimal experience.
Yeah.
And Csikszentmihalyi found people experience this similarly across cultures and professions: chess players, surgeons, regular folks in Okinawa or New York.
What are the signs you're in flow? What does it feel like?
There's several key characteristics. Intense focus, obviously. A feeling that your actions and awareness just merge. You're not thinking about doing, you're just doing. You lose self-consciousness, feel a sense of control. Time feels altered, faster or slower. You usually have clear goals, get immediate feedback on how you're doing. Concentration is deep, and yeah, time just transforms.
The book mentions Schaefer's model for achieving flow balancing challenge and skill. Can you explain that?
Right. Schaefer's model basically says flow happens in that sweet spot where the challenge of a task matches your perceived skill level.
Okay.
If it's too easy, you get bored. If it's way too hard, you get anxious. Flow is right there in the middle, stretched, but not overwhelmed. You feel competent, but still engaged.
So the book gives 3 strategies for hitting that sweet spot. First, choose a task that's difficult, but not too difficult.
Exactly. It connects directly to Schaefer's idea. Pick something slightly outside your comfort zone. It engages your skills without freaking you out. They use that Hemingway quote, "Sometimes I write better than I can." Pushing your boundaries just enough.
Second strategy, have a clear, specific goal. Why is that important?
A clear objective gives you direction. It focuses your energy. The book mentions Joy Ito and Jeff Howe's idea of compass over maps. Knowing the overall direction is often more useful than a rigid plan, especially when things are unpredictable.
Right.
Just taking a moment to clarify what you're trying to achieve before starting helps you focus and makes getting into flow much easier.
And the third strategy, concentrate on a single task. That feels crucial today.
Oh, definitely. The book debunks the myth of multitasking. Our brains aren't really built for it. We're just rapidly switching attention, which is inefficient and tiring.
Yeah, I feel that.
Focusing on one thing, monotasking, allows for that deep concentration needed for flow.
What tips does the book give for actually doing that, for cutting out distractions?
Several good ones. The Pomodoro technique work bursts with short breaks. Having a pre-work ritual to signal focus time. Mindfulness or meditation practice helps train focus generally,
Hmm.
creating a dedicated workspace, if possible. Grouping similar tasks together to avoid context switching, even bundling routine chores to get them done efficiently.
It really sounds like this idea of flow is embedded in Japanese culture. They talk about ganboru and takumi.
Yeah, there's a strong cultural value placed on dedication, on perseverance at Gambro, and on meticulous attention to detail. You see it everywhere, from people tending gardens carefully to the way shop assistants work.
That focus often leads to flow.
Exactly. And takumi are those master artisans who embody this. People like the porcelain maker Yukio Shakunaga, the sushi chef Jiro, the filmmaker Miyazaki.
Right.
They show this complete merging of self and craft. There's even a connection to Shinto beliefs about spirits, kami, residing in objects, suggesting a deep respect for the materials in the process.
I like the idea of microflow, finding flow even in mundane tasks.
Yeah, that's great. It's about bringing presence and engagement to routine things. The book mentions an elevator operator doing his job with almost ritualistic care, or the physicist Richard Feynman finding flow painting walls.
Ah, yeah.
It shows you can find absorption almost anywhere if you approach it right.
And meditation comes up again as a path to flow.
Definitely. Meditation trains the mind to focus, to observe thoughts without getting caught up, to concentrate on the breath. It quiets the mental noise, making it easier to slip into flow. They use the example of Olympic archers training their minds.
A spa with us everywhere, the book calls it.
Yeah, a portable tool for mental clarity.
And rituals, how do they connect?
The book suggests rituals provide structure and can naturally induce flow. Modern life is very goal-oriented, but rituals, which are strong in Japanese culture, Confucianism, Buddhism, Shinto, emphasize the process.
Ah, rituals over goals.
Exactly, finding the happiness in the doing, not just the achieving.
So how can we use all this about flow to actually find our ikigai?
The advice is, pay attention. Notice which activities naturally pull you into that flow state. What are you doing when you lose track of time and feel completely absorbed? Then look for common threads. What is it about those activities that engages you? And then maybe experiment with similar things that spark your curiosity. Understanding your flow triggers is a big clue to uncovering your ikigai.
Okay, let's move to the masters of longevity. People living past 110. What did the book say about their philosophies?
It shared wisdom from several supercentenarians, Misao Okawa, Maria Kapovia, Sean Coleman. Their habits varied, but common threads were simplicity in eating, enough sleep, staying active in their own ways, and a generally positive outlook.
Right.
Though Alexander Imick's quote, "I just haven't died yet," is a good reminder that there's some mystery to it too.
Huh.
But yeah, looking at someone like Walter Bruning eating just 2 meals a day, it echoes that harahachi-bu idea, mindful eating, maybe some caloric restriction.
And beyond the super old, the book highlights ikigai artists, people passionate into old age.
Yes, inspiring stories. Christopher Plummer, Osamu Tezuka, his last words were, "Please just let me work." Frederick Wiseman, Carmen Herrera, these artists stayed deeply engaged in their creative work.
Wow.
It really shows how a strong purpose, that ikigai in action, can keep you going, keep you vital, regardless of age.
So then the book takes us right to Ogimi, the longevity village. What was the vibe like there?
Peaceful, green, unassuming. They were welcomed at the Center for Well-Being and immediately introduced to the concept of moai.
Oh, why?
These informal support groups, like extended family, they provide emotional, social, even financial help. And this spirit of mutual support, Uemaru, is just woven into daily life. That strong community feel is really palpable.
That communal life seems key. How does it manifest daily?
Well, eating together is huge. The authors tried a restaurant. It was packed with locals. They were taken somewhere else, emphasizing how much they socialize over meals. These tight social bonds, especially through the moai, are a massive support system. It's like community-based ikigai.
They even went to a birthday party.
Yeah, a 99th birthday. Lively, joyful, singing, homemade shikawasa, cake, dancing. It showed how much they celebrate life and each other frequently. It reinforces that community spirit.
What about other daily habits? Gate ball was mentioned?
Right, gate ball. It's like croquet, low impact, great, gentle exercise, but maybe more importantly, it's super social. Brings people together for fun and friendly competition. The authors got schooled by a 104-year-old.
Haha. Shows how active they are. And spirituality. The gods of Okinawa.
Ryukyu Shinto, their indigenous religion, mixes faiths with animism, spirits, and nature. Rituals, festivals, sacred sites, utaki, uganju are important. Women, yuta, have key spiritual roles. Ancestor worship is common, Butsudan altars, and the idea of Mabui life essence. It all provides a sense of connection, peace, tradition.
The interviews with the Ogimi centenarians must have been fascinating. What were the common themes?
Really consistent advice came through. Stay active. Gardening, walking, radio taiso exercises, eat light, lots of homegrown veggies. Connect with others, moai, friends, family. Be optimistic. Live in the present. Find your ikigai. Connect with nature. Be grateful. Help others. Enjoy what you do. Value traditions. Stay busy, but with relaxing things. It's a beautiful, holistic approach.
Let's dig into the Ikigai diet. Okinawa's longevity is closely tied to food. What are the basics?
But compared to, say, the U.S., Okinawans traditionally eat fewer calories overall, have a lower BMI, and crucially, variety. They average about 18 different foods daily.
18, wow.
Yeah, at least 5 servings of fruits and veggies, often 7 different types a day. Eating the rainbow, basically. Mostly grains, moderate fish, limited sugar, and pork is nutrient-dense but lower in calories.
And harahachibu, eating till 80% full. How does that work?
It's a mindful practice. Stop eating when you feel almost full, not stuffed. Simple tricks like skipping dessert or using smaller plates help. The benefits are huge. Better weight control, lower risk of diabetes, inflammation, heart disease, even some cancers. The book also mentions the 5.2 fasting diet as another approach.
The diet is also packed with antioxidants. Any highlights?
Oh yeah, tons. Bitter melon for blood sugar, kombu kelp for minerals, tofu and miso for protein and plant compounds, turmeric and ginger for inflammation, plus all those colorful fruits and veggies. The main point is whole, unprocessed foods, lots of variety.
Sanpincha, jasmine tea, is popular there.
Very. It's a green tea blend with jasmine. Studies suggest it helps lower cholesterol. Plus, you get the green tea antioxidants and jasmine's calming effects. They drink about 3 cups a day. Good alternatives are regular jasmine tea or quality green tea.
And green tea itself gets a lot of praise.
Deservedly so. It's loaded with antioxidants like polyphenols and EGCG, plus vitamins and minerals, fights free radicals, helps cholesterol, blood sugar circulation, protects against flu, good for bones. The list goes on. White tea might be even more potent, the book notes.
What about the shikawasa fruit?
Ah, the Okinawan specialty. Very tart citrus grown a lot in Ogimi. It's incredibly high in an antioxidant called nobiletin, way more than oranges.
Nobiletin.
Yeah, studies link it to protection against artery hardening, cancer, type 2 diabetes, obesity. Plus it has vitamin C, B1, beta-carotene, minerals. They use it in dishes and juice.
For those of us elsewhere, the book suggests an antioxidant canon. What kind of foods are on that list?
Focus on things like broccoli, charred, oily fish, salmon, mackerel, citrus fruits, berries, especially blueberries, dried fruits in moderation, whole grains like oats, olive oil, and maybe red wine in moderation. The flip side is reducing refined sugar, processed grains, baked goods, pre-made meals, and maybe cow's milk products. Variety and whole foods are key.
Okay, next up. Gentle movements, longer life. It stresses everyday movement over intense workouts.
Exactly. People in blue zones move naturally all day. Ogimi elders are highly active. The book warns about sitting too much. It slows metabolism, lowers good cholesterol. Simple things like standing up often help counteract it.
Eastern practices like yoga, qigong, tai chi are recommended. Why?
They focus on balancing body, mind, spirit, promoting harmony. Science backs up benefits like slowing bone loss, tai chi, improving circulation, strength, flexibility, reducing stress and depression. The key is finding something enjoyable so you stick with it.
Radio Taiso, those Japanese group exercises, what's their role?
They're widespread in Japan. Promote unity and get everyone moving with simple dynamic stretches and mobility work, even in nursing homes in Ogimi. Simple but effective for waking up the body.
Yoga aims to unite body and mind.
Yes, brings you closer to your true nature, purification, maybe a spiritual connection. Many styles exist, hatha, vinyasa, etc. The sun salutation sequence is a common example.
And Tai Chi is more than just exercise.
Right, it's an internal martial art. Focuses on growth, self-defense, using minimal force, agility, plus healing, health, inner peace. It involves flowing, gentle movements.
What about Qigong, working with Qi or life force?
Qigong uses posture, breath, movement, and intention to cultivate and balance this vital energy Qi. Many styles exist. Studies suggest wide benefits: brain waves, hormones, heart health, blood pressure, bone density, circulation, cognitive function. It's quite comprehensive. It involves regulating body, breath, mind, Qi, and spirit.
Other practices like Shiatsu and Taoyin get mentioned too.
Briefly, Shiatsu is Japanese pressure point therapy with stretching and breath work for balance. Taoyin refers to older Chinese arts for well-being, focusing on flexibility and mindful movement.
And breathing itself is key for longevity, the 6 healing sounds.
Yes, an ancient Chinese technique. Specific sounds, movements, and breaths are coordinated to benefit different organs. Liver, heart, lungs, kidneys, spleen, plus one for the whole body. It highlights the deep connection between breath and health in traditional systems.
Finally, the book covers resilience and wabi-sabi. How is resilience defined here?
It's about bouncing back from setbacks, staying positive, focusing on what matters, managing tough emotions. More than just toughness, it's inner strength. Like that Japanese proverb, fall 7 times, rise 8. It also touches on anti-fragility, which is even beyond resilience.
It links resilience to Buddhism and Stoicism. What's the connection?
Both philosophies help build resilience by teaching us to manage ego and negative emotions. Stoicism values emotional control for inner peace, apathy, observing emotions without being ruled by them. Buddhism focuses on understanding suffering and detachment. Both guide us to manage our inner world better.
What about negative visualization in Stoicism?
It's intentionally considering potential bad outcomes, not to worry, but to prepare mentally and appreciate what you have now. Seneca recommended it, reflecting, not ruminating. Paradoxically, it can increase gratitude.
Focusing on what you can control is also key.
Huge in Stoicism. Worrying about things outside your control is futile. Focus energy where you can make a difference. Your responses, your actions. Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react. Zen meditation also helps here, observing desirous emotions without being swept away.
Then being present, understanding impermanence.
Both traditions stress the now as the only reality. Appreciating the present brings peace. Understanding impermanence, the Buddhist concept, helps accept change and loss. Stoics also remind us everything human is temporary. Embracing this builds resilience.
Okay, let's unpack wabi-sabi. What's the essence?
It's a Japanese aesthetic finding beauty in imperfection, impermanence, incompleteness.
Right.
Appreciating things that show age, wear, natural flaws. Like that chipped teacup, its history gives it charm. It's natural, unpretentious beauty.
Often linked with ichigo-ichi.
Yes, one time, one meeting. Basically, this moment exists only now and won't come again. A powerful call to be fully present, cherish every unique encounter because it will never repeat exactly. Central to tea ceremony, martial arts, Zen.
The book contrasts this with Western ideals of permanence, using architecture.
Right. Western buildings often aim for lasting perfection. Traditional Japanese architecture often would, embraces aging, accepts eventual rebuilding, like the Grand Shrine of Eyes, rebuilt every 20 years, preserving the custom and skill matters more than the physical object.
How do wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi boost resilience and connect to ikigai?
Accepting imperfection, wabi-sabi, makes us more resilient when things go wrong or aren't perfect. Focusing on the present, ichigo-ichi, aligns perfectly with mindfully pursuing ikigai. Seeing flaws as natural, even beautiful, helps us embrace the growth journey inherent in finding purpose.
And finally, beyond resilience to anti-fragility. What's that?
From Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Anti-fragile things don't just resist harm, they benefit from stress, disorder, mistakes, like the hydra growing 2 heads for each one cut off, or muscles getting stronger from exercise stress.
How do we apply that?
The book contrasts fragile things, like towns hit by tsunamis, with anti-fragile ones, ecosystems adapting. Personally, diversify income passions like ogimi gardens backing up moai, have varied friends. Don't put all eggs in one relationship basket. Use the barbell strategy, mostly safe bets plus small calculated risks, and subtract things that make you fragile. Embrace randomness, uncertainty. Wabi-sabi helps here, seeing life as imperfect, fleeting, but full of potential for growth through ikigai.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. An incredible deep dive. As we wrap up, what are the final takeaways from the book?
It really frames ikigai as an art of living. They mention Mitsuo Aida's calligraphy and haiku. It stresses actively pursuing and nurturing your own unique ikigai daily. That's what brings meaning and flow.
And it reminds us, while ikigai is personal, that search for meaning is universal, right?
Absolutely. The advice is start small, stay curious, stay engaged in things that give you purpose and joy. There's no magic formula, but the Okinawan example is powerful. Don't overthink. Life isn't a problem to solve. Just have something you love doing, surrounded by good people.
And those 10 rules of ikigai from the Okinawans offer a nice summary.
Yeah, they're great guidelines. Stay active, don't retire, take it slow, leave urgency behind, don't fill your stomach, that 80% rule, surround yourself with good friends, smile, reconnect with nature, give thanks, live in the moment, and of course, follow your ikigai.
So the final provocative thought the book leaves us with.
It asks you to reflect on those small, maybe overlooked activities that bring you joy, that make you feel absorbed and purposeful. Could those be the clues, the breadcrumbs leading you to your own ikigai and maybe towards a longer, happier, more meaningful life? It's about noticing those little sparks of engagement,